85,
90.
95.
We're playing for keeps. We're on the market. Stay strong, sir. Sold! Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 4th of March already. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Pearce.
Gary, the autumn season is upon us.
It is.
Time's just flying. 1st of December is summer.
Yep.
December, January, February, March. What's happening to the year? What's happening to time?
It's running away quickly. I've got to say though, Melbourne weather is always under criticism, isn't it? But I reckon we had the best summer in Australia just about. We had beautiful weather and it's still beautiful weather.
Tell you, summer really is the month of February.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, it
so
is.
December, January, you could call that pre-summer.
Yep.
But summer is February blending into March.
Yes.
And how about that storm heading towards Brisbane, then moving towards Sydney?
There's a storm of brewing, and as you would probably know, Philip, we've got a little bit of a conference in Brisbane with a few of our people going, so I'm not sure whether we're going to get grounded or held up or rained on, or the aeroplane will be a little bit like that, but we'll be okay. We will survive.
Soggy Brisbane.
Yes.
Hopefully the hotel that we're going to be staying at, our meeting is not on the ground floor.
It's open. It's out in the open,
hopefully
yeah.
it'll be level 2 or 3.
Yes, exactly right.
Because I really do not want to fly all the way to Brisbane to be underwater.
No, preferably not, Phil, but anyway.
It's not a scuba conference, Gary.
They are
it's a
the
real estate
conditions.
conference.
They are the weather conditions, Phil, and they've always been varied since time.
This is not a weather show, Gary. This is
true.
a real estate show. There might be soggy conditions in Brisbane and Sydney,
Yep.
but it was scorching hot in Melbourne, at least with the team at Gary Pearce.
Nice little segue,
and
Phil.
associates.
Nice little segue. Look, before we get into the results and what happened on the weekend, I must say, and there was a few viewers that of GPTV that were caught up with on the weekend, and one of them was the vendor of the property in Elster Street, Elstonwick,
Yes.
who asked when the Teletubby is going to be coming. So I think, not the Teletubby, I should say the Wiggle.
The Teletubble, the Wiggle, the Backstreet Boy,
No, the
bring
Wiggle.
it on.
The Wiggle.
Yep,
He said,
yep,
is
yep.
the Wiggle
Do you know
coming?
what this is?
It is Wiggle out
Do you know
there.
what that is,
Just
Gary?
brushing it off
Yeah.
your shoulder.
That's just you and the dust.
Yeah.
The dust that comes from your
Yeah.
way. It's like,
But you know, I've got to say, Phil, I'm very observant because that whole Wiggle look was not lost on the viewers in that outfit of yours, and I'm glad. Look, it's good. Keep it aside. Save it one day. There's going to be dress-up parties and theme parties you'll be able to wear that to, but no more at our auctions if you don't mind.
So viewers,
now, hang
we will
on.
just flash that up on screen again,
Yep.
and I will just say this, Gary. I am always
Yep.
memorable.
Yes.
For better or for worse,
Yes.
I'm memorable.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, Phil. That's what the Wiggles used to sing, and
Do you know what, Gary?
you were there.
The thing about having a brand, right?
Yes.
We've got this Gary Pearce brand.
The Wiggle
and
brand,
Then
yep.
I am a brand within the brand. And I have to tell you that I got a lot of positive feedback
Yep.
about how youthful and energetic and exciting I was.
Yes.
Some people were thrilled.
Well, the kiddies would have loved you, wouldn't they? Let's face it, the kiddies would have loved you because you would have been the Wiggle that they'd never met before. You know, the weekend Wiggle, the real estate Wiggle, the Wiggle to the local community.
Shout out to Justin, who hopefully you're still watching, even though the soul sticker is up on your board. But shout out to Justin for his lovely casual observance of my attire. He was respectful.
Yes.
He was understanding. He could see my point, but somewhat lost on you, would be fair to say.
Another client, I got to an auction on the
Oh,
weekend.
yeah.
Another client.
You managed to find the people.
They find me. They seek me out.
You managed to find people that are critical of me.
No. The first thing that happens is I go
Yeah.
to an auction on the weekend.
Unsolicited, of course.
In Carnegie, in Morgan Street, Carnegie, right? And a guy comes up to me and he starts going like this. He goes, and I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, I thought, "What are you doing?" He's going, and I said, "Oh, because it was your little bell ringing from last week. Remember, you used to ring the bell?" So he starts going like that, and I said, "Yeah, I thought that might have meant something else as well." And he's like, so
Do you know
anyway.
what? I am loving how closely
Yes.
people watch this show.
Yeah.
I used to think...
Both of them. Both people watch the show.
No, you say that joke all the time,
Yeah.
but there are thousands of viewers and we can prove this, right?
Yeah.
But I love the fact that this is not... People aren't just watching this show casually.
No.
They're not watching this show
They're examining it, Phil,
whilst multi-skilling. If somebody got that, Gary,
Yeah, they got
then
that, yeah.
that person
Yeah.
is watching this show deeply.
Yes, maybe too deeply, Phil. Maybe reading into things that aren't really there. But anyway, we had a little bit of a chuckle, Phil, but it was all in good nature, lovingly, Phil,
You know what?
lovingly.
I'm glad, Gary, that what I can give you is the ability for you to push me down, to crush me.
No, we're
To
laughing- we're laughing with you, not
to
at you.
crush
Yeah.
me so you can therefore feel better about yourself.
I'm glad that you've told me that now. I do feel better. What sort of person does that make me? Anyway, let's move on.
This is not a real estate show. This is therapy in action. So for those of you that are thinking about making a series, because there's been a very famous TV series, In Treatment, Gary.
Okay,
In
yeah.
Treatment, I don't know whether you ever watched it,
Yeah.
but it was about basically people going to see their therapist or their psychiatrist, their psychologist, and it was an incredible show, but it was just the show of the interaction between therapist and client.
Okay.
And this, Gary, is somewhat of a therapy session for both of us.
It may well be.
Shout out to all the psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists that watch this show.
Is it true that they are the craziest people of all, Phil?
No,
Fair enough.
no,
Okay.
no.
Because that's what people say. They say they are. Because you have to have a certain amount
You
of
know,
crazy to know crazy. don't
Everybody
you?
wants to feel better about themselves. That's why we make this show, Gary.
Yes.
So people sitting at home can watch us to feel better about themselves.
And we love you, therapists and psychiatrists, and we love all
sold
the
for
people.
all of these
Yeah,
people,
we have.
Gary.
We have. Phil, let's talk about the market because I sort of cut you off, but I had to share those observations.
You had to share those
public
observations about me.
Yeah, well, you know what? As I
Glad
said,
that I can
the
avail myself.
The brand within the brand. You stand tall, Phil, and you've always keeping us on our toes, and we love you for that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the market, though, Phil, because with the whole bell ringing of yours, you made the call, you made the symbol,
Yes.
you made it, and of course, before you know it. It felt that way, didn't it? Because that was the bell. You rang it.
I rang it.
And you
10
declared
days
it.
ago now.
And we were 94% last week. We were not 94% this week, but still industry average 63%.
Yep.
Gary Pure and Associates
Get
81.
Get those towers up. We love those
81%.
towers.
Young Philip Kingston.
Yep,
We'll
yep.
take that every day of the week.
Thank you. Thank you.
So well done.
So
Congratulations.
let's drill in a little bit deeper because I read the Financial Review every Monday morning. There's a bit of auction commentary from around the nation.
There is.
The commentary around the nation is that all markets seem to have got a new lease of life.
Yes.
It's not
even the Camberwell market and the farmers market in Security as well.
It's not booming yet, viewers, but there is no question the market has moved, is moving. They talked in the Fin Review about Melbourne being a growth market because Melbourne's probably the most undervalued capital city in Australia. So viewers, strap yourselves in if you're thinking of buying. He who waits will miss the bus.
Yes,
She
indeed.
who waits will miss the train.
Yep.
Do not be one of those he's, she's, or theys, or however you identify. Do not miss the train that's leaving the station.
Well, it's left the station. It's well and truly left the station,
Well,
Phil, and it's on the way.
it's-
There
yep,
might be a
yep.
few steps. It may not
Yep,
be an express
yep.
train, but it has left the station and
It's gonna gather momentum.
I can hear the chugging from where we are, Phil. But the market is good. There's plenty of, and there's some beautiful properties we put to the market and some great sales.
And some beautiful properties coming up, Gary.
Some beautiful properties coming up. And you had a very active week. You had some incredible sales that you had your fingers all over,
Do you
didn't
know
you,
what, Gary?
Phil?
I think
Yeah.
I've personally had my busiest 3 weeks
Yes.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
I'm not going to say before time because you have done things in the past as well.
I'm loving the
Yeah.
pace at which
Yeah.
my team that is around me, from my EA to your EA, Tori and Grace, and to all of those
Frenetic.
people like Eliza and Maz, and then all of the obvious sales people. But I'm loving the pace at which you and I are still capable of working, Gary.
Well, we don't know anything else.
We can bring some momentum to this party. You want to invite us to a party?
Yeah. Oh, we'll bring the party to town.
We'll be the life of your party.
We don't ever really tire, do we? I don't feel any different to how I felt 10, 20, 30 years ago. The body maybe is a little bit different. Give me a few messages, tapping me on the shoulder every
Do you
now
know
and
what,
then.
Gary? You've still got the same level of energy,
a passion.
but nature has had its way with your appearance. There's
Don't be like that.
No, this is just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd almost say the same thing about myself. I'd almost say
Almost,
that.
yeah,
But,
fair
you
enough.
know.
And I'd almost agree with that.
There is no question
Yeah.
that when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we are showing our experience.
Well, there's a
not
big-
our age, we're showing our experience.
There's a big difference between the two of us right there, because I don't look at myself in the mirror, so I don't. So I'm living in a very happy state as a result of that. Phil, let's talk about some of the auctions, some of the results. There were some really popular ones out there.
Come on.
I'm going to launch into what was the most popular one, because
Yep.
the most popular one was 4 Dunbar Avenue in Caulfield North.
Yes.
And I guess, Phil, it just goes to show, and it's interesting, it just goes to show what the auction process can do, because the vendors of this home had an offer off market before they took it to market with us.
Yes.
And they were unsure because the offer was a reasonable offer.
Yep.
But you get one chance to sell a property. It's been the same family, this home, since 1968, which is pretty much new then. And when you get one chance at it, Phil, I reckon you'd go all the way. I don't think you should sell for a reasonable price. You want to get a premium price, and this did get a premium price, Philip, because it was a premium property. It was quoted in the high twos.
Four bidders, Gary.
It just ran beyond that, Phil. It was quoted in the mid to high twos. The price is undisclosed, but congratulations to the buyer who has been looking for a while.
And fair enough to say that the sale price on Sunday was sold well in excess of what that reasonable pre-offer offer
it was. And that's why, if you don't really give yourself a chance as a vendor to have a really good crack, I think you just never know, do you? Okay, Phil, the other very popular auction that I was involved with on the weekend was in Wallace Avenue, or Wallace Street in Bentley East, and congratulations to the vendor there, who had a lot of emotional involvement in that home, because it was a family member's home who's sadly not with us anymore. But Phil, that was incredibly popular, expected to sell somewhere maybe in the early 8s or thereabouts in terms of the competition we had. We moved the price guide, but it sold for significally more under competition of 4 bidders.
Gary, I'm going to talk about a sale, but I'm not going to give the address because it's because there's some sensitivity around the buyer. But I will say, good to see AFL footballers making their mark early in the season.
Yes.
So you heard it first. AFL footballer, and a very good AFL footballer, one that is a rising star, has planted his flag in the Elstonwick market.
In fact, Phil,
that's enough said.
I went to that home when it was open for inspection, because I do that from time to time. I know you don't think I do, but I do that from time to time.
That's excellent.
And in fact, that footballer was in the home at the time. So there you go. Kicked a winning goal, so well done to that footballer. Phil, 4 Longstaff Street, Carnegie, is one that you were personally involved with.
Shout out to my beloved vendors of that home, who would have to be 2 of the nicest people that I have ever met. And if you're watching the show, we're somewhat sad that you're going to be leaving this country to go and move to another country with your family. All I can say is that country will be the richer for having you living there. Australia will be the poorer for you leaving. But they've lived here for decades, brought up their children here, and they have just been super people. Longstaff Street, Carnegie, a house, a north-south tennis court, sold as one package. Shout out to Christian and Dizzy that operate out of our Carnegie and Murrumbina office for their incredible work there.
And the price is disclosed on that, Philip, $2,950,000 sold in Carnegie. So, Phil, the other significant sale of the week, which was a record price, I mean, again, a beautiful property, not surprised it was a record-breaking property, was the home in Amelia Street, which was going to be expression of interest, but then it ended up going to auction.
It was an expressions of interest campaign that closed on Tuesday afternoon. We had 3 offers come in, all within a very close number of each other. There was a 4th and 5th buyer there, but there was some distance. We decided to hold a auction in the house with those 3 parties. So at 8:30 at night, I went to Amelia Street, where we had a very successful auction. We sold well over the top of our range. Having said that, this house was a standout house, worth every cent of the final selling price. But interesting to see EOI morph into an auction, which means we can twist, we can turn, we can go forward, we can go backward.
Spin.
Pivot is our middle name.
Exactly. And the buyers, interestingly enough, all the buyers were very happy to actually enter that process.
Absolutely.
Because the EOI is an interesting method.
Expressions of interest.
Yeah, I mean, some people call it a tender, but it's a little bit different to a tender. But Phil, it's an interesting process, and certainly doesn't probably have the benefit in some ways of the transparency of the auction, although many buyers and many vendors like to choose that way of going. But this time it was an EOI that did have the transparency of an auction where everybody got to see exactly who was bidding for
Well,
what?
we did quite a few EOIs, Gary, and I always say this to a vendor, look, whether you go EOI, whether you go auction, we are experts at both.
Yes.
But it's the combo, really,
Yeah, that
of
was
EOI morphing into auction,
Yep.
which really gives us the benefit of both processes.
Yeah.
So you never know how it's going to go. So if you're chasing a great home, just let us know. We'll make sure we work with you to get your dreams coming to fruition.
Oh, lovely, Phil. 10 Elster Avenue, Elstwick. Well, that was where, you know, I heard about the Wiggle story from one of the people I spoke to there. But, Phil, that was a great house. Congratulations to the
location.
vendors who I think would be tuning in here. But
An interesting
really good,
story
yeah.
there, Gary, because we had an auction. We passed it in to the highest bidder. We got that highest bidder up. And we decided we would let them go for some time to really get their head around how good this house was. We ended up selling it for on Saturday night for a higher price on a better settlement arrangement. So sometimes you just need that space, pressure, space, pressure, space.
1 Hawthorne Avenue, Phil, is on a knife edge, that transaction right now.
Could
We've
be
got an
sold
offer
by
on
the time
table.
this goes to air,
Could
Gary.
be sold. If you're interested in that house and you haven't stepped forward, do it quickly, because even it might be too late.
Yep.
But 1 Hawthorne Avenue, Caulfield Northville, was passed in to the final bidder, and it is being negotiated as we speak. So that's a few of our auctions. Olive Street was another property that you were involved with that sold. Phil, again, a wonderful property.
Shout out to the owners of that property who we've sold for before, just the nicest people and a really good house. And we sold that to some local buyers bidding against some buyers that were from a completely different location. So really great to have that competitive tension there on the day.
Talking about Olive Street, and I'm deviating away a little bit. We don't talk a lot about in GPTV about our project marketing, but it is such a fantastic business within our business, isn't it? Firstly, the people involved are wonderful, magnificent people, really. Some veterans of the industry, and of course your son, being Rafi Joffe, who, nothing he doesn't know about project marketing off the plan.
He is an institution,
He
but
is.
the sort of
Julian,
institution you want to visit.
That's right, yes, and stay. Not the sort of institution you just want to visit and leave and say, oh, thank goodness I'm not in there. He is an institution. Julian Millman, of course.
Heads up that division.
Heads up that division, and Jacob Kingston, your
young gun on the block.
Your champion young son there is doing a brilliant job.
Well, they're just selling projects now from Kew to North Melbourne to St Kilda to Elsternwick to Brighton.
It's exciting.
But they've got 2 amazing projects in Hawthorne Road.
Yep.
If you're looking to move straight into one, we've got one that's already finished. We've got one that's currently under construction. They can show you some fabulous properties, really suited to the downsizer, that kind of 50 plus downsizers, where you can sell your house, stop mowing the lawns, cleaning the swimming pool, cleaning the gutters, all of that stuff, and just live a life of carefree luxury.
So Phil, the project on the corner of Olive Street and Huntley Road.
Well, we've got 2 there,
that's
actually.
right. One across the road with the old site there.
Diagonal opposites. One
yep.
you can buy and get some stamp duty savings, because that's currently under construction,
Yep.
and one that's completely finished.
And they're looking at each other, aren't they? Both
They
those
are.
are eyeing each other off.
But just a great location. Imagine being able to live in your apartment, go downstairs or cross the road, and you can choose between Aldi's prices and Woolworths prices. I reckon that is cosmopolitan living at its finest, all with Princess Park on your doorstep.
And I've had a good look at the rooftop, Phil, which is the most incredible view. You don't think of Caulfield South with views, but look, we've just sold this home in Amelia Street for well into the 4s. We've got another property in Caulfield South which is just been listed. Stay tuned, in the 5s. Caulfield South,
Caulfield
Phil,
South.
it's got a, Molly Meldrum on Countdown used to say, it's a hit, a new release with a bullet, which wasn't violent. It was like it was bullet going up the charts.
Good old days where you could say that sort of
that's
stuff
right.
without being cancelled.
No one would be ducking. But Caulfield South is a suburb with a bullet, Phil. It's going forward.
Let's talk, Gary, about what's coming up this weekend, because it is the long weekend.
It's winding me up.
There is
Get that
not a
sense?
lot happening in Melbourne on a long weekend. Let's talk about what's coming up.
Let's do that, Phil. We've got some properties coming up, but they are midweek, because on the long weekend, Phil, we rest our auctions because our vendors sometimes might want to go away. There's sometimes buyers away. Everything's open, still busy, but we don't auction on the long
So
weekend.
tell me about what we've got happening this week.
Well, we're auctioning tonight, Phil. We are auctioning tonight in Albion Street, Caulfield South. Talking about Caulfield South, hey, we've got one tonight, Phil.
Gary, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, off-street car parking, beautiful parcel of land. That's a home that you can move straight into. Just a great opportunity to get into the vibrant South Caulfield market.
Bertram Street, Olsenwick. Leon Guzenfitter's listing, and you are doing the auction at 5:30 tomorrow.
Single story, Gary. We love these properties. Have a look at this inside. Beautiful flooring, great location, walking distance to just about everywhere you want to be. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a lock-up garage, a study or a studio, wraparound garden areas. We love that property.
Nikki Janova and Lamore Herskovitz are masters of the game, Phil, as agents, and you are the master auctioneer, and you're auctioning tomorrow night in Master Street.
Looking forward to seeing those guys there. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage, wraparound courtyard gardens. This is the most stunning property. Feels and looks brand new. That is really a house in the epicentre of the vibrant Caulfield, where you've got the tram on Hawthorne Road and Glen Huntley Road. You've got Caulfield Park and Princes Park. You're surrounded by everything, including the racecourse.
We're going to keep you working on those blocks of apartments, Philip, because we've got one in Lower Dandenong Road in the beautiful Bayside suburb of Mentone happening on Thursday.
Gary, 8 one-bedroom apartments together with 8 car spaces. Again, you know, these are great places to put your investment dollars. We've got 807 square metres of land and approximately a $130,000 passing income. What's not to love about owning a block of apartments?
We've got 3 properties to preview. One of those is Linden Street, Ripon Lee. Jeremy Rosens is handling this property and, auctioning this property, I should say. What a beautiful listing, Phil.
Gary, they don't get much prettier than that home. That is 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. Pretty as a picture, goes to the market. What a lovely opportunity.
7 Alton Street is a fabulous cul-de-sac in Caulfield Northfield with some lovely homes, and this property is coming up shortly.
Gary, Art Deco heaven, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom and a lock-up garage. Beautiful garden areas, beautiful features. You can move straight into that and get on with life, or you can think about doing an incredible renovation or refurbishment. Do a little, do a lot, but you can only do it if it's yours.
Years ago, Sally Zellman ventured to South Africa, Phil, to Joburg, to talk about the Melbourne market, and she heard from people in Johannesburg who were coming to Australia and to Melbourne in particular saying, we understand the B streets are the A streets in Caulfield South. And they were right, Phil, because the B streets of Caulfield South are the A streets: Bakara, Bialaba,
Bent, Barindi. Yep. The B streets are the A streets, and this is an A triple plus house at number 28 Bakara Road, handled by Joel Sur and Kevin Huang. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a double lock-up garage. The joy of that home, Gary, is you've got multiple entertainment zones, lounge room, dining room, big living areas on the ground floor. You've got this most incredible entertainment space upstairs for the kids in an affordable price range. At least that's what we say in South Caulfield. Anything under $3 million now is a buy. I'm loving Caulfield South.
And as Selwyn, the South African, said, I can't believe it. It's such a beautiful suburb. Yeah, I can't, man. Anyway, but it is all happening there in Caulfield South. And it's all happening on GPTV. We're in March, Phil. It's an exciting time. This avenue now, I love this March, April, May. It's a great quarter. It's a busy quarter. There's lots happening. It's pre-winter. Autumn. How good's autumn?
How
I want
much
to roll.
caffeine has he had
I'm loving
today?
it. No, I've only had one, but I'm getting warmed up for my second. That is a big wrap on this week's edition of GPTV. I'm Gary Peer.
Have a great long weekend. We'll see you next week.